Hey, what's up? We finally made it. Episode 1, Trip Over Drip. I'm just so excited. I appreciate all of you guys for showing up today to watch the content. Just know that I've never done anything like this before. So there is a lot of fear and hoping that I can do it right. After doing all of the editing, I've come to realize that there is a little bit of audio issues. For whatever reason, some of our cameras are just continuously autofocusing and there's a little bit of blurriness, but I appreciate you guys showing up and watching this and just giving my vibration the opportunity to resonate with inside of yourselves. Every single time that we do this, we're going to get better. The little issues are going to get fixed because we're just doing it off of instinct. And like I said, I've never done anything like this before. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button and I hope you enjoy the show. The pod today is just with me and my wife. We're going to get to know each other. And then from there, the possibilities are endless. Your support means everything to me. Every like, every share, every comment. Now let's get to the pod.
Just hit a button, Morty. Give me a beat.
Oh, man. Okay. All right.
Yo. What's up? It's Trip Over Drip. How are you guys today?
Welcome to episode 1 of our podcast.
Long time in the making. It's taken us quite some time to get here, but we made it here, So today, we're normally going to have a wide range of topics and things that we talk about. Today it's just really just going to be something to just get us off the ground and really just talk about us and just talk about us as a couple and as well as us individually.
And maybe some goals that we have for the podcast, what we're planning to do.
If there's anything that you want us to talk about or any topics you're interested in hearing us speak about, go ahead and just drop them in the comments. Before we begin, I just want all of you to know that every single one of you that is watching this and the people who follow me mean the world to me, and I'm very appreciative of all the support. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button if you vibrate with any of the things that we say. If you resonate with the topics we're talking about, please like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. So the first thing we're going to talk about is...
Well, today we're going to talk about love, community, and unity. Those are like our topics that we're going to kind of touch on. But first we want to do a quick little get to know us. Who are you? Where are you at in life? And we're going to touch on like a mental, physical, and spiritual. And then why? Why are we doing this individually as well as like, why are we doing this? So I can start. I'm Chantel. My socials, I am Travel96 on TikTok and Instagram. And for me, Trip Over Drip is a way for us to talk about things that we want to talk about. I love podcasts. I love watching people talk about things as well as like just learning different things about. So I just like to hear talking. So that's why I like doing this. I want to hear what other people have to say and I want people to hear what I have to say.
Ideally, we had talked about this the other day, actually, why we think podcasts are so popular, actually, is because people talking and having long form conversations like this is foreign.
Right.
Like, just like you go to the zoo to see animals that you can't see every day.
Right. And I feel like I absorb much more when I watch a podcast because television, whether that's TV shows or movies or whatever it is, it's entertainment. It's fake. It's not real. Podcasts are real and they're raw and they're talking about real things, real life things that are happening in the world or in someone's journey or whatever it might be. I resonate with it much more than I do just like a TV show.
Right. And I think that if the person speaking is credible or you vibrate with what they say and the things they talk about, it's almost as a way to learn things. I think for me personally, that's why I like to watch podcasts a lot. Is I listen to academics, therapists, doctors, everything and above. I feel like I learn a lot of things from those people just talking.
Absolutely.
Like especially shout out to Joe Rogan. He has literally anybody. He'll have anyone on there, regardless of what they talk about, as long as he's interested in hearing about it. I think that's why Joe Rogan does it as well, is to learn things,
Right, I agree. I remember in a podcast, he actually talked about, he gets so many like inquiries to do podcasts with him, and the people that he picks are people that he genuinely wants to have a conversation with and like hear something from them and like learn something from them, whatever that might be.
Right, and it doesn't matter who it is.
Right. If he finds it interesting.
Either political party, whatever, if he finds them interesting, he'll want to talk about them.
Right.
And so it's who am I?
Yep.
My name's Trevor. On the internet, sometimes people call me Trip. My socials are Trip Over Drip, all one word, lowercase, on TikTok, X, Instagram, Twitch. My name, obviously, Trevor Hess for my public Facebook, and then, Trip Over Drip, where we're at today. What Trip Over Drip means to me is I went through this thing, you know. I ideally, honestly started creating content because I thought it was fun. I had no intentions of even getting to this far. This has become just like an evolution of emotions and situations that's happened throughout our life the last few years. Basically, long story short, circumstantially, I have no idea how I have all these followers. Maybe I'm cool, maybe I'm not. I don't know. But once I got to these followers, I then had to really come to terms with myself. Like, what am I going to promote with this amount of humans watching my stuff? Am I going to perpetuate negativity and sadness and depression and hate and all of those things? Or am I going to take the opportunity that the universe has seemed to have given me to help and to encourage and promote laughter and truth and just knowledge and just a continuous encouragement that, you know, people can get through hard things, and it's okay not to be good all the time. It's okay to not be okay, and just as long as you just keep grinding and just not giving up amongst yourself, you know.
It's okay not to be okay. We've said that so
Right.
much. Like our entire being togetherness, from the beginning till now. It's okay to not be okay is such a big statement, because so many times it's like, oh, I have to be okay. I've got to push through, but it's okay to not be okay.
Right. And I think that's something that actually really benefits just us as a couple, is that no matter what your emotional status is, it's okay for you to feel like that. You don't have to change how you're feeling or suppress your feelings because of around me or around, you know, and we can try to encourage each other that you're able to feel the way you want to feel. It's not wrong. You don't have to feel bad about feeling bad.
Right.
You know?
Because lots of people do. Lots of people do feel bad about feeling bad.
Oh, sure. I mean, and especially in relationships, you know, I think that happens a lot in people's relationships where one individual or one party offends or upsets the other one,
Right.
and the other one feels wrong about getting worked up about something to where it causes problems for the person who is just feeling upset. And it's okay for them to feel upset, obviously, if something upset them.
Right. Just an example. When we were setting up for the podcast, one of my plants fell. You had bumped it, and I wasn't upset with you. I was just upset that my plant fell because one of the leaves broke, and I was sad about it. But
Right.
I wasn't mad with you. But it was okay for me to feel sad about the plant. It was like a super simple explanation, but like something like that, and just being able to express that to you.
Right. And I think that expressing emotion is something that we have as a strong suit.
I agree, absolutely. Okay, so where are you at in life, mentally, physically, and spiritually? Mentally, I'm doing really well. I'm actually very happy that it's been a little warmer lately. I'm really over the winter and like
too.
the seasonal sadness that's been going on.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that that's going to be ending. So my mood has definitely been lifted more than it has the past couple weeks recently. I also physically doing really well. I don't really have any complaints physically. We just got cupped the other day. Cupping was
did just get
amazing.
cupped.
I felt
We'll put some pictures right here of what our backs look like afterwards.
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience.
it was so cool, and I feel like ever since then I have slept better every night. I feel like my body, I just feel better. Like I feel almost like lighter. Like
Right.
energy was released from me that I didn't need to carry on to, or whatever it might be. I feel better from that physically.
Right. I feel like maybe you don't any of you know this, but I was suffered from addiction for a long time, and I didn't take care of my body. Obviously, if I was using drugs that weren't good for me, then I wasn't going to the doctor, and I wasn't doing all of these things, and so I just like malnourished myself and really didn't take care of myself. And I've had a few injuries, and honestly, the cupping was like, not shout out to Stephen Millet, but the massage, the massage was what was great. And
The bone scraping.
right, to be honest, as a man, sure, typically men probably want women to massage them.
Right.
There's no woman that could massage me the way I need to be massaged. Like a woman doesn't have strong hands to be able to like break up the tension that I have in my back muscles. Sure, the massage probably would still feel good and relieve some stress, but the ability to like really
The like muscular
the
hands.
strong
Right.
hands, yeah. So I
That's why
that was the best part.
That's why I just used the gun with you.
Right. Yeah, that was the best part was the massage. Plus I haven't had a massage in a long time, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then spiritually doing really well. I feel like spiritually, I don't really have a lot going on currently. Sometimes I go through like wavelengths of really high, like spiritual in my mind, thinking about things days and weeks. And I feel like this week hasn't really been that for me. But I feel like I've been fine overall. Like, I haven't had any negative spiritual stuff going on, but I feel like my spiritual journey is on the same path that it has been for a while, just continually going up and progressing and just doing day to day life right now in that
Right.
sense.
See, for me mentally, mentally, to be honest, it changes day to day. I struggle some days. I have good days some days, and other days it's just kind of like in a gray area, you know? I'm just striving to always just do better than I did yesterday. And I might still struggle in one area, but do better in another area, and the days are comparable on what my mental health is, you know? Physically, physically, to be honest, I don't feel the human age that I am. I don't feel 36. I feel good. You know, I do have some physical ailments that I struggle with, you know, but I feel good. We've lost a lot of weight. I think that's something that has like tremendously helped. We don't eat garbage. We eat clean, organic foods. Places that where we trust where the food is coming from, which in turn helps physically and my mental health. So like
Right.
just in turn the diet in general. I don't exercise. I don't do any like strenuous activities a lot, and but I still feel good just because I'm eating good and my brain is working efficiently. You know, and then spiritually, I mean, where I'm at spiritually is that I feel that I have been called by on the universe to spread a message, and that the message is of love, community, and unity. You know,
I agree
I
with
feel
that.
like I feel like we're in a mental health epidemic that's on the brink of catastrophic results, and for far too long, everyone we know is just, you know, not everyone, I can't say everyone, but a lot of people are just really sad and just really struggling and just barely holding on and just like white knuckling life, not knowing how they're going to get through all of these things, you know. And I personally have went from absolutely no self-love to an immense amount of self-love,
Right.
and the only the only thing that I can do with it is promote it and just
Absolutely.
get out there what I do, what I do for me personally, and that's displayed in many different avenues. You know, whether that's through verbal communication with the people in my relative reality, or if it's through my social medias. You know, but spiritually, I think that religion is for people who don't want to go to hell. Spirituality are people who have already been there and trying to get out.
Yeah.
You know, I feel that spirituality is something far different than what religion or
Oh,
being
absolutely.
religious. You know,
I agree. I feel like for a long time I really correlated spirituality and religion. I put them into the same bucket, and as time has progressed and I've learned more about both topics, I know that they're definitely completely different. And I no longer feel, because I don't associate with a religion, I no longer feel almost like shameful for feeling spiritual, because for me for a long time I felt almost like gross with myself because I was like anti-religion, but I still wanted a connection, a higher connection of some sort. And so for me, getting that separation has helped me tremendously just on my journey in general. Yeah.
right? I mean, I just feel like it's not likely that there are humans out there that haven't felt some spirituality, at least some.
Right.
You know, whether that's just like an overwhelming feeling in a situation that might not be circumstance, or like an immense amount of love. There's almost just like like a spiritual presence almost when there's just a ton of love in any sort of situation, whether it's between me and my wife, or me and my kids, or me and my friends, or a group of individuals. You know,
Right.
there's something that's metaphysical. You know,
I agree. All right. Um, the next one is why, and touching on why are we doing this? I mean, we did kind of touch on, I feel like we kind of categorized that in with a lot of the things we've talked about already, but a big part of it is just to spread a message. And the big one that we're focusing on right now is love, community, and unity. I mean, that's a
right,
common message, but
right.
that's really the purpose of today's podcast. Um, So yeah, anything else you wanted to touch on with that?
No.
Okay. So let's do a quick little just getting to know us personally, me and you. Um, do you want to talk about how we met or you want me?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
So, little backstory. I mentioned earlier I suffered from addiction to illicit substances for most of my life. In 2018, I made a choice. I took someone's car; it didn't belong to me. I ended up getting sent to Wyoming State Penitentiary. I spent almost 2.5 years in the penitentiary, and then about a year in a halfway house. And while I was in the halfway house in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we met on Facebook and we started talking through text messages and video calls. And we fell in love pretty quickly, and now here we are today, almost 3.5 years later.
Yeah. So crazy. So crazy how things work out, right? So not only like did we meet on Facebook, you were living in Wyoming, I was in Utah, but you just like popped up as a suggested friend, someone I might know, and from there, here we are in a home, building a life, doing everything that we're doing. It's just so crazy to like think about the perspective on it,
It is.
you know?
As well as crazy thing that when I was in the halfway house, um, we're allowed to have smartphones, but they scratch out our cameras, so for security purposes or to potentially prevent pictures of being taken of individuals who are there for crimes that could get them harmed, um, like sexual offenses or whatever it may be. And so the whole time that I was there, we would video call and I could see her and everything, but she would never be able to see me. The only time she'd ever be able to actually physically see my face was the once a month that she drove from Utah to Wyoming to come see me for the weekend,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. You just got to watch my life.
I did. You didn't get to see anything. You just heard my voice.
Well, that was enough, though.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
Well, you're still right. And then something else that we wanted to talk about was in November 21st of 21, we lost our daughter.
Yeah.
Her name was Marley. We actually decided to name her after Bob Marley. Shout out Bob Marley, shout out Kaylee. We didn't know that our sister had named her son Kingston because that's where Bob Marley was born.
And Bob Marley and I share a birthday.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I think that was it was a really hard time for us.
It was a turning point in our relationship that could have either brought us together or tore us apart.
Right. I agree.
Because we could have either used those times to blame each other for things. You could have had resentments towards me. I could have had resentments towards you. I mean, anything. But instead, we used that time to be able to grow and heal with each other and be able to move past the hurt that we were feeling and the sorrow that we dug ourselves into from that.
Right. I feel that I mean, to be honest, like we had mentioned, it did get really dark, you know. If I could just be transparent, we were drinking lots of alcohol
We were.
to numb our feelings and to to suppress all of it, really, because it didn't numb any of it. It just made it so
was very traumatic.
Right.
The whole event. I mean, obviously, when you lose a baby, you don't ever plan on it happening. But I mean, it was all very fast, very traumatic. I mean, it was a shock to all of us. So we didn't want to feel what was going on instead of trying to heal at first, and we just wanted to numb.
Right. Right. And it took us a few months of wanting to numb before we were able to, luckily, snap out of it and realize, like, holy cow, this isn't it. Right. Like, this is not how it's going to work. Right. Like, we're not going to be able to heal from this doing this, Right. But yeah, I feel something that you had mentioned to me off camera was that there's a man named Mateus De Stefano.
Oh, right. We were watching a podcast with him where he was talking about specifically he was touching on when he lost his grandma, and if you hear a bunny in the background, so sorry, everyone. But he was talking about how when she was passing and he was in the hospital with her, He was trying to help her release the resentments because when you pass, you want to lift your vibration, the highest vibration you can, pretty much, essentially, or metaphorically, I guess, like shoot away from the location that you're at and shoot up as high as you can energetically,
Right.
Into higher dimensions.
Right.
And that is, he talked about how when you lose someone, you're sad, you grieve them, you almost, oftentimes, I mean, I am guilty of this, cried like, why want you here with me, come back with me, I don't understand, like, the sadness of pulling them back to earth. And he said you want to celebrate their life instead.
Right.
You want to celebrate them and push them away from here as far as you can, because they need to be at those higher dimensions. I mean, it's I hope I explained that correctly,
really deep.
because it's a very deep topic. Right. I mean, it was a super good podcast.
Right.
It was one he did with, who did they do it with?
Marcus.
Aubrey Marcus, right? I mean, they've done many together, but that was really good.
Right. I feel like what I took from that was that when, like you had said, for example, when someone passes away and you're like just wanting them here, you wanted them to keep them here, it prevents them from moving on completely to the next phase, because there are humans on earth wanting them still here, versus at the time of passing, you completely let go. I love you, and you just let them go so that they can move on as high as possible. Right. Into the next phase.
Easier said than done. It's something that you have to practice on, for sure, because I mean, in all reality, in this physical realm, the emotions are hard.
Right.
The pain is hard with it.
Right.
But I definitely feel like, I mean, it's been over 2 years now, and I definitely feel like it's something that I've been able to process a lot more.
Right.
And I've learned more about it to where I don't feel guilty wanting to release anymore, because I did for a long time. Right. I felt very guilty being like, not feeling sad about it, not thinking about her that day. And I had to remember that that's not healthy to live like that either. Right. I have to move forward, and I have to move on with myself and my life, and remember her and celebrate the moments that I did have,
right. And so for me, something dealing with spirituality is that during that time that it was all happening, I was at the hospital, and I remember sitting outside in the car, and I was just crying, and we named her Marley, like I said earlier, for Bob Marley. And Bob Marley had really, really long dreads, and at that moment, because I was so lost, I just didn't even know how to even comprehend the feelings I was feeling, but I knew that I didn't want to allow myself to forget her in a way, and I just wanted to have her live on, and to remember her, and to continue to be able to feel the feelings that I'm feeling. And so that's when I decided that I was going to dread my hair, similar to Bob Marley, and that I'm never going to let them be cut or touched or shortened in any way. I'm going to grow them until it's my turn to move on to the next phase, And so ideally, from the Bob Marley movie that we went and seen on Valentine's Day, they got some Jamaican guys with some really long dreads, and he had it like thrown over his shoulder like a scarf. Yeah. And when I seen that, I was like, oh man, eventually I'm going to have these dreadlocks wrapped around my neck, because they're all or they drag on the ground. And I mean, obviously that's not sanitary, or I wouldn't be able to protect these sacred things on my body,
Right, because hair is antennas, really.
Yeah. Shout out to, Rastafarians in that culture. They were very, very connected with earth and with the elements, and the community, and Aborigine tribes in Africa a long time ago, where they started doing them. Obviously, the hygienic properties that they would have at that time weren't as efficient as they are now, obviously, but your skin is the biggest organ in your body, and your hair is directly connected to your nervous system. Right. So my skin will feel physical things. Right. The hair, I mean, just like when you get really nervous or scared and the hair stands up, your hair is feeling the energy and the vibration in the room to determine whether you're safe or not. So I basically have just a bunch of energy antennas that hang from my head, so I'm able to read my surroundings energetically and metaphysically, and granted, I can't say that I've been able to attribute any of my feelings to the antennas I have on my head, but yeah.
And let's talk about really quickly some opposites and similarities of us, just like some fun facts. So
Okay.
I'm an Aquarius.
And I'm a Capricorn Aquarius.
Yeah. So, and I definitely feel like if you know things about zodiacs, we definitely fit our zodiacs quite well.
Yeah, I mean, for most of my life, I mean, I've been aware of astrology and horoscopes and all of those things and what my sign was because everybody talks about it. And for a long time, I, I thought that the horoscopes were literal, so I didn't resonate with the Capricorn horoscopes or the things that they would say about Capricorns. Like, sure, some of them, but I thought I was taking it like, oh, this is dumb. Most of this stuff is wrong. There's a few right things, but most of it's wrong. And more as time goes on, and I allow to interpret as it is what doesn't apply, let it fly, and internalize whatever the message is in the horoscope pertaining to me and that specific message. There's a lot more. I can relate a lot more, if that makes sense.
I really like the app that we use, CoStar.
Yeah, CoStar. It's a horoscope app that you put in your birth date, the time. It gives like a birth chart. You can like connect it with your friends. We'll put a link to the app store for CoStar in the description.
Yeah, because love that app. Really.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of the top astrology apps.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Some other opposites about us. You are very extrovert.
If you've seen a typical podcast, you know that this is the portion where you would have like a sponsor. We'd say this video is sponsored to you by blank. Well, right now we don't have sponsors yet. We're still growing and trying to establish ourselves. And all of this is done and funded by us, me and Trevor. We just had a dream for a podcast. And so that's what we're doing. But we are looking for sponsors. So if you want to sponsor one of our videos, please reach out to us. We'll make sure we link our email in the description. It's really cold right now. We're standing outside and recording, but we just wanted to plug this because we're plugging ourselves right now. This is brought to you by Tripoverdrip, this podcast. We're super excited for what the future has in store, and we hope we can see some sponsorships in the future.
Yep, I'm very loud and outgoing and assertive and confrontational, not in a bad way, just confronting life, and you're more reserved and introverted.
I feel like I'm evolving more extrovert qualities, and I feel like you definitely help attribute to that.
Sure.
You help bring out me because I'm definitely very reserved, and I mean, if I had the choice, I wouldn't talk to anyone if I didn't have to.
Right.
But yeah, some other opposites and similarities about us. Well, I guess similarities is our kids' birthdays. I feel like that's so cool.
Yeah.
Our three boys, their birthdays are 2 years and 3 days apart in chronological order from oldest to youngest.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not related by birth in any way, and it
Right.
just happened to be that way.
Right.
May 10th, May 13th, May 16th.
Right. There's just a lot of weird things about birthdays.
We do. We have a lot of like amongst our tribe and anyone. I mean, a lot of people we associate with, there's a lot of similarities.
Right. Shout out to Willow.
Oh yeah.
And Victor, yeah. I have two children in my tribe that my niece and then a friend of mine's son, they both have the same birthday as me, and I can just say lightly that they are wild kids, and repeatedly their parents blame the fact that they're born on my birthday is why they are the way that they are,
Let's see here. Is there any other key things you feel like is important that anyone knows about us? Maybe some hobbies that we have. I love anything art related. I love painting. I guess maybe I could share how I got into painting. We had a date night one night for my birthday. This was, I think, was it after we lost Marley?
Yep.
I think it was the first birthday I had after we lost Marley. And you were like, let's do a date night. And you're like, let's go to Five Below and we're going to get painting stuff. We're going to paint together tonight for your birthday. So we have like a memory from it. We could hang it up in the house. And it was a very emotional experience for me.
Right.
Because for some reason, I had found out during that time that I carried a lot of like shame and like judgment of others about art that I created. And so that's why I didn't do it for a long time. And just that night of like spending with you and us painting and talking, it allowed me to like feel good about what I created, and that like it didn't matter what other people thought of what I created, that it only mattered about what I thought of, that I created.
Right.
And so ever since then, it's just created this spiral of lots and lots of paintings. I mean, our whole house is just
Covered in
a
paintings.
walking art project now. We'll have to maybe do a house tour if anyone wants to
If you want to see a house tour, drop it in the
in
comments.
the comments, because I mean,
If you haven't been here, obviously. If you've been here, then you know that our house looks like if you put a couple paintbrushes and some paint inside of a junk drawer and shook it up.
but in a great way.
Right. Great energy.
It's great energy, but it's very, I've become very creative and artistic, and that's something that I love because I struggled with that for a long time, finding a hobby. Like my whole adult life, I searched for a hobby, and then I found out that I'm very artistic and creative, and I can create lots of things, whether that's painting or clay or sculptures from styrofoam or whatever it might be. I have, as well as baking. That's another form of art itself. I love baking and cooking food and stuff like that.
I love that you cook.
I love cooking for you.
So to be honest, if I could give you my number one hobby that I have is honestly just talking.
Yeah.
I am very outspoken. And if anyone knows me in reality, I'm very outlandish as well. I have a lot of beliefs and thoughts and ideas, and the only way that I feel justified in coming to terms if I've truly believed something is through many, many hours of conversation with all sorts of humans, to
Whether that's directly with you face to face
or through content, correct?
Right.
And so I would have to say that my greatest skill is communication. I feel like I'm very good at communicating as well as reading and reading the room, and I'm a very good active listener. I listen to listen, not I don't listen to respond like most people.
I feel like that's a very important skill to have, and I feel like a lot of people in general lack that skill in life, being able to listen to what someone else actually has to say,
Right. Listen to
absorbing
understand
it, thinking about what you want to say, and then responding, rather than just listening to what they have to say as you're thinking about your response of how you're going to respond to what they said to justify either your behavior or what you're doing, or whatever the conversation might be about. I feel like that's a big thing that a lot of people struggle with.
Whether that's in a monogamous or a platonic relationship.
Yeah,
with
any
friends or
any
whatever.
communication style in general, whoever it is.
A lot of people who, like, especially in arguments,
Right.
if you're in a heated argument with someone, you're not really listening to the words that they've said.
Yeah.
You're just waiting your turn to respond.
Absolutely.
You know?
I feel like that's something that we do really well in our relationship, is our communication, because I feel like our 10 months of only communicating through phone calls and texting, we didn't get to see each other every day.
Right.
It was like once a month.
Right.
I feel like that made our communication very, very good.
Right. I mean, for a whole entire year, our only interactions really between the once a month weekends was strictly communication. That's all our relationship
We
was.
talked about anything and everything.
For hours and hours every day.
All the time.
From the second we woke up, we'd be either texting or talking on the phone.
Yeah.
Till bedtime every day.
And so I feel like that just continued into our relationship once you came home.
Right.
It's just we always had very open communication about anything and everything, like, and there was never any trust broken because we always had that open communication about everything.
Right.
You know.
Even in situations where either one of us were at fault in an argument or something during that time where we only talked on the phone, there was a lot of accountability as well. And so, like, I don't ever question or ever second guess anything that you say to me, because for all of time you have just always been upfront and honest, you know?
Same exact thing with you.
Right.
And there was something else I wanted to touch on with that, and I just forgot what it was.
About communication.
It was about communication. Oh, I was going to say, along with communication, I feel like when we do have disagreements about things or whatever it might be, I feel like we're both really good at looking at our own stuff and recognizing where we did wrong and being willing to admit and adjust those things
Right.
if we need to, rather than feeling like we need to be stuck in the route that we were in, or the action that we were taking, or whatever it might be. We're very willing to listen to the other person's opinion and look at our own stuff and be like, okay, maybe I can adjust in that way. Maybe I
Right.
will do that.
I mean, because I think that's the biggest thing that's people have in relationships like this. I feel like that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with is not only acknowledging to yourself that you might have done something wrong, but also admitting to the other person,
Right.
hey, I know it. I shouldn't have done this. You
Right.
know?
Because it's hard.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so hard to do that, and it can be so uncomfortable. And I mean, that's even though I feel like, and I say that we're good at that, it's still something that I do struggle with sometimes, especially like if I was like, damn, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Being able to go to you and be like, hey, I apologize for what I said, even though I feel great after, because I know I feel relieved and we were able to communicate about it. But like the anticipation for me, at least leading up to it, always like, oh, I hate that I have to go do this right now, but I know it's what I need to do because that's just what we do.
Right.
That's just what we do. But it's that anticipation of doing it. Like I still get
Oh
anxiety
yeah.
about it, you know?
And I mean, there's even times where I want to deny that I'm the one at fault, even when I know that I'm the one at fault.
Right.
You know, in a situation where we may argue or not agree on something, and maybe I say something that's not appropriate or aggressive, and or vice versa. You know, and there are times where I just want to deny the fact that you're not to blame. You know, when chances are I'm probably not even struggling or irritated because of this situation. It has to do with other shit in myself, which allowed me to act a certain way to you, which then perpetuated the argument.
Right.
You know?
I agree.
But yeah.
Okay, a couple things I wanted to touch on. I feel like some of these questions that I had noted in here were things that we've kind of already talked about, like what makes a relationship successful. I feel like we
Right.
just kind of talked about that. We've got really good
Honesty.
communication.
Honesty is the number one thing. If you can't have communication and be honest while you communicate, you will never survive. Your relationship will end very quickly. And if it doesn't, you'll live together miserably with resentment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't really have too much to go on with that one because I feel like we talked about that a lot. Something I do want to talk about though is feminine and masculine energy and what they bring to a partnership. What are your thoughts on that? Like the importance of them and like different aspects of what they bring.
Okay, so now here's when we get into the crazy stuff. So I am a traditionalist.
Right.
I believe that the masculine energy and the feminine energy in a household should be traditionally how it is. Now, I'm not saying that girls can't work. I'm not saying that women shouldn't work or they're not capable of doing exactly what I'm trying to do, any of that. But they shouldn't be at work.
I mean, that's my goal.
Right,
I mean, right now, unfortunately, financially,
right,
I have to work.
right.
But don't get me wrong. If I had the opportunity to not work and to stay home, to take care of the kids, to do mom and wife things,
Right.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. So, early 80s, 70s, etc. Traditionally how it was the man worked. The man worked and made like $50,000 a year and had a house. He had a car. He had a 401k. He was able to go on vacations. He was able to survive with buying groceries and still be able to buy things that he wanted and have a boat and save money at $50,000, one individual in the household. Well, of course, if they want to indoctrinate the children to believe what they want them to believe, they have to remove the mom from the house. So they made it harder to survive, which then forces families to have both parties work, which then takes the man's energy trickling down into the wife's through their relationship, which then the knowledge trickles down into the children on how to live and what type of human to be. Whereas now, I per se that me and you try really hard to be active in our kids' lives, but the design is for them to learn how to be humans from school.
Right.
And the Department of Education that gets all of their funding from X, Y, and Z, and they're told that it's appropriate for children to do this and do that and learn this and learn that, and what's not applicable to real life and what is applicable to real life. It's all under the discretion of them because the two parents are having to work nonstop.
Right.
So it just makes it so like there is no definite line of where the masculine and feminine energy actually even is because of that specific. Right. The man and the woman are gone a lot of the times. They don't spend as much time as they should with their kids because both parties have to work, and so Traditionally, the man should do all of the manual labor. The man should go to work. The man should fix all of the things. The man should be the protector. The man should be the disciplinary, et cetera, et cetera. The woman should be the caregiver. I mean, right,
The what's needed to balance out the masculine.
right,
Like the yin to the yang,
right,
you have to have both.
right,
Just like in the Kabbalion, super great book,
right,
talks about the importance of both feminine and masculine energy because you
right,
have to have one to have
right,
the other polarity.
right,
But I feel like feminine energy has been removed a lot right now because there's so many women that have so much masculine energy because it's just like you said, it's like the world that we live in right now. It's very like work, and I'm not saying it's not good to like be a boss and to do those things and to be a go-getter and to achieve your goals and dreams and whatever you want to do, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I have goals and dreams and aspirations that I want to achieve too. Maybe they're different than everyone else's. I mean, my goal is to stay home and bake bread
right.
while you go to work.
Right. The thing is, though, is like how many women would choose to go to work if the society wasn't structured the way that it is so that they could survive financially, if the woman didn't have to work?
Right.
How many women would choose to do it? I mean, let's be real.
Right.
How many women would actually choose to work if all of their finances were taken care of?
I want to say
Half, maybe half.
I was
No
gonna
more
say-
than half.
Yeah, I was going to say probably about 50-50 because I feel like in my reality of life, I definitely have friends that love working.
Right.
And I, for a long time, was someone who loved working
Right.
because I was a lot of the time, whether I was in a relationship and with someone, I was still a single parent a lot of the times, doing those things. And so I thrived on work. It was my break for my kids because I would just go home and be with them anyways, as well as I wanted to be responsible and I wanted to be able to take care of myself because I'd been proven too many times that no one else was going to take care of me when it came to men.
Right.
And so I had to do those things, and I lost a lot of that feminine, soft, loving, nurturing energy. And it was very like, gotta get this done, gotta push, gotta do this, very, very masculine and like,
Right.
you know what I'm trying to say?
I do. Actually.
And I definitely have, now that I have masculine energy around me constantly, I have been able to release a ton of that masculine energy that I was feeling for a long
Like you
time.
just like would hold on to, right?
Right, because it was like the wall that I had built up, I feel like people talk about that wall often, and with women, to me, I've come to the realization that the wall is all of the masculine energy that you have built up to protect your femininity.
Right.
And it's put me into a place now where I am thriving and working towards getting all of that feminine energy back and holding that and cherishing that rather than feeling like I have to have that front out and be like, I have to push, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, I want to be soft.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
that's what I strive for.
I like that you're feminine. I don't like manly men, manly women. But I mean, and then even just talking about masculinity, I hope I don't lose a bunch of the listeners here, but I feel like being a man is being attacked right now. I feel like they're trying to weaponize masculinity, and people who want to protect and traditionally believe, like I believe, that the man should be the provider and the woman should be the caregiver. If I don't see anything controversial about that, but there's lots of people who would argue with me about it. Not only is that a problem, but they're also trying to brainwash all of our boys that they're girls. At a far too much of a young age, as well as the certain avenues of influence are inappropriate. If it's coming strictly from within the household, parent to child, I could understand that. But when other facilities or departments of things are the ones helping to influence these young boys that they're girls, that's a problem. We don't let them buy a gun or join the military or get a tattoo or smoke cigarettes or do any of those things until they're a certain age. How are they able to determine what their gender is when some of them can't even wipe their butt?
I agree, and I feel like it's very important that, honestly, I'm so grateful for you because, I mean, my two boys for a long time didn't have masculinity around them to have that, to grow up with and to guide them and to help them grow into men.
Right.
And that's something that you have been able to give to them since being in our lives. And they are learning what it takes to, I mean, of course they're children, so they don't know all of the things of how to be a man yet, but they're learning what it takes to be a man because they see you every day doing those things, going to work when you don't want to go to work because you'd rather stay home and hang out with us or play PlayStation or have a chill day or whatever it is. I mean, who always wants to go to work every day? But you do those things because you know you need to do them. They see us, you know, being on top of all of the things that we need to do in the household. You help me around the house constantly, even though sure you do work. Just, I mean, you work more than I work, but you still come home and you'll be willing to help me with dinner and help me around the house and hang out with the kids while I do stuff and play with our 2 dogs and our bunny and whatever it is. They see you doing those things to where you're not just like coming home and being like, I don't want to do anything now. I worked all day. You come home and you still actively engage with our family.
Right, because I contribute here too. Right.
And a husband.
And that's the thing though, is that with the topic we were just talking about, I was watching a Lil Wayne YG podcast, and Lil Wayne said something that was really profound to me, because with this whole you can choose your gender thing now, I have to take into consideration that potentially they will infiltrate my boys' minds. So it's not my job to teach them to be a man, because they might not end up being one. It's just my job to teach them to be the best them that they can be, and regardless of what they're attracted to or what they identify as. It's my job to just teach them with my masculine energy to be the best them that they can be, and your job with feminine energy to be the best them they can be, and hopefully have a mixture of both to make some just really dope kids, you know, really dope humans.
What's something that you're looking forward to in the coming months?
To be honest, I'm looking forward to April. We're going to Vegas for my brother's wedding. Chris Webby is coming to Salt Lake that I'm super excited about.
I know, we've been talking about going to see Chris Webby for like 2 years. We're like, when is he coming to Utah? When is he coming to Utah?
I hope that he sees this, so if y'all could just put the @ Chris Webby in the chat or the comments, that'd be tight.
For real. I'm so excited, and it's going to be at a smaller venue. So.
Right, up close and personal. Right. Vegas, I think I'm just excited for, because last time we went to Vegas, our car broke down while we were there, and so all the money we went to go play with, we had to spend. So it was fun, but it just wasn't as fun as I anticipated it to be, which now this time, because we're going for a wedding, it's just going to be like an adult vacation.
And we're going for longer than the wedding, so we can like do fun things. And
we rented a Tesla. Got a really dope hotel room.
The Palms Place.
Yeah, at the Palms Place. We're going to be making a bunch of content while we're there. I've actually got a few businesses to sponsor some videos. The Museum of Illusions, Playground in the Luxor Motel. I'm still waiting to hear back on them, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of cool stuff.
And we're going to record a podcast while we're here.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be having one of my friends who lives down there. We're going to have him as a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, that'll be super fun. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah.
The countdown's like coming.
Yeah, like less than like 3 months.
Less than like 2 months.
Like 3 months. 2 months from now, yeah. Yeah, 2 months.
Can you believe February's already over almost?
Time is fake.
Well, yeah. Man-made concept.
Yeah, but this year has gone by fast, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the farmer's market. It's not till June this year, which is kind of lame. I feel like it was definitely earlier last year, but the farmer's market is my favorite thing to do every weekend, to wake up on Saturday morning and go with my friends to the farmer's market and walk around and go to all the stands and look at all the things and all the crafts and stuff that everyone makes, and also all of the fruits and vegetables.
The fresh fruit's a bomb.
Oh my gosh, the berries. There's a specific berry stand that we go to every time, and they do like a little triple basket with 3 different kinds of berries. So good. And I just like cannot wait.
Ideally, because they're a lot less expensive than they are at Trader Joe's where we shop, mostly because like obviously it's cold, maybe out of season or whatever, but I think they're a lot fresher too.
Yeah, and there's like no pesticides on them. They literally pick them like that morning or the day before, like, and just knowing that like someone, a family business grew this food, put their energy, their love into it, and now it's coming back into my house where we get to put our energy and love into it and put it into our bodies, you know?
Right.
It's different than it like being mass produced.
Right, by some corporation that's just trying to get as many profits as possible, you know, the 1%, right? But I also feel like something that's really important about just food in general is that there's a direct connection from the food you eat to how you feel. Happy, if you're eating clean, you're more susceptible to spirituality, or spiritual events or energy or like higher frequencies because your body's running at the most efficient that it can because it's not dragged down and poisoned by toxins and fake sugars and preservatives and dyes and et cetera,
I feel like food has been such a huge part of like our spiritual journey that we've been on because there was a point in time when we were eating out every day. We were eating, gas station food all the time, not eating a lot of home cooked meals, drinking a lot of alcohol, doing things like that.
Soda pop, sugars, pastries, candy.
Right. And as soon as we stopped doing those things, I feel so much better. I have so much natural energy now. There was a point in time where I was drinking 2-3 energy drinks a day.
Right.
Trying to push through and like push past the exhaustion. And now that we eat healthy, we don't eat any artificial dyes, any artificial flavorings. We eat organic foods. We eat good things. We eat as healthy as we can, within our means.
Right.
And as soon as we started doing that, like I only have one caffeinated drink a day.
Right.
And that's just to treat myself.
I drink lots of black coffee, but
that's just black coffee.
Right. No sugar, no creamer, no nothing, just black coffee.
Right.
And I think the food is directly connected to health and happiness, really. Absolutely. It's like if you're going to eat garbage, you're going to feel like garbage and your body's not going to be great.
I don't remember who it was. We were watching a podcast and someone talked about how if you want to feel light, if you want to, have those aspects of like light and love and all those things, you want to eat the foods that absorb the most light, which is fruits and vegetables.
Right. Yep. If you want to have light and be light emanating from you, you
remember
need.
Who it was that we were?
Yaki Awakened. You need to eat food that was created with light, which is naturally fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, etc., things from the earth,
And sure, don't get me wrong, a little tiny bit here and there, that happens. We have slip-ups, don't get me wrong. There's a time that I really want some Sour Patch Kids.
Right.
Because I'm just craving them, and
right.
I know they're going to be good. And I give in and I eat a few of them.
Right.
But I'm not doing that every day. I'm not even doing that once a week.
Right.
So it's about the moderation and it's about being aware of what you're putting into your body. If you're putting things into your body that have numbers in it,
right.
that there's 20 ingredients in a jar of peanut butter. Okay, maybe not 20, but peanut butter is made with peanuts. That's it.
Right.
Like literally peanuts. You just like toast them in the oven and you put them in a food processor. I made some. And you create their own oil and you just add a little bit of salt if you want salt in it. Right. But that's it. Not all of the stuff that's in a jar of Jiffy.
Right. And ideally the thing is, so getting healthy and eating healthy to a lot of people, I would assume is kind of overwhelming because they don't want to go without. They want to,
and it's like withdrawal when you stop taking
things. From the sugar and the stuff, right? But they want to eat things that they like and that taste good. Naturally, the things that taste the best are the ones that aren't good for you. Right. You really should just people at home. The first step is to just eat home cooked meals.
Right.
Stop eating gas station food. Stop eating fast food, and just watch how much change you'll have if you just eat home cooked meals, not the microwave. The microwave is intended to heat up the substance. It destroys the nuclear waves inside of it to create the heat, destroys all of the nutrients in the food. So if you put it in the microwave, you're not going to be getting any nutrients.
We don't have a microwave in our house.
Have a microwave. But it just heats the food up. So real cooked stuff on the stove, in the oven, etc. If you just do that, you're going to see tons of changes. Right. If you just eat home cooked stuff.
If you just start with that, and then the next step is, now I'm going to start looking at labels, and I'm going to try to not buy things that have red dye 40.
Red dye 40, yellow 7, red, blue, any of that stuff is directly connected to mental health disorders.
Yeah, especially ADHD in kids. Yeah. That's a huge one. To be honest, when we stopped giving our kids dyes, there was a huge their attention span got so much better. Oh, yeah. So much better. We were having so many issues at school before with the kids. Our older ones specifically. tough. He was having lots of issues paying attention and, just
Right.
not being a distraction in class. And then as soon as we made the switch, and I mean, it was hard for all of us.
Right.
And it still can be hard sometimes for them. Like, they still want those things, but we don't have problems with him at school anymore. And when we started giving him lion's mane, the supplement, and the mushroom supplement, that is, I mean, he told us himself a week after taking it, wow, I feel better. I can focus. I can
As well as it's profound to now see that I'll have friends come over that he doesn't talk to very much, and he will ask them where they shop at and ask them about the food that they eat. Make sure that, just to make sure that they're not eating dyes, he wants to let them know, like, hey, you don't eat Red 40, right?
Right. You need to read the labels, because
We shop at Trader Joe's. That's the only place we shop.
any gas station we go into, say, because I mean, we still do go to gas stations too, sure.
Right.
We stop and get treats or drinks, but we read every label.
Right.
The kids know that they cannot get something and they cannot ask to get it for us if it has dyes in it.
Right.
I mean, sure, if we're at a birthday party and there's something that has some dye in it, majority of the time we're going to
Right. I mean, if we go to a birthday party and we know that the cake that was made at a huge corporation's bakery, chances are the reason the frosting is blue and it's blue enough that it will dye your clothing is because there's dye inside of it, right? But we're not. Okay, you can have a piece of cake, whatever.
Right.
But I'm not going to go buy anything.
Right. And so it's cool to see the shift in our children when they're like, oh, dang it, can't get this anymore. It's got dyes in it. Can't do this,
Right.
But they're finding other alternatives also, you know? I mean, they love fruits.
Right.
They love just snacking on nuts and things like that, like things to just fill.
Right. I mean, because to be honest, our jobs as parents is to allow our children to become the healthiest, best versions of themselves. So why would I allow my kids not to know the truth about the food that they eat, to create habits so ingrained in them by the time that they're able to, and they need to purchase and buy their own food, that they're not going to be the person that eats McDonald's every meal. They're not going to be the person that goes to the gas station to buy dinner,
Absolutely.
They're going to see and feel great and know through us and communication the entire time, this is why you feel this way and this is why you look this good, is because you don't eat this stuff. You don't eat this. We don't eat out. We don't go to restaurants,
And the thing is too, they've seen the change in us. I mean,
Right.
all of the weight that we've lost,
Right.
a big part of it's a contributing factor is eating healthy.
Right.
And they've seen the physical changes in our body of being like, oh wow, they're nowhere near as big as they used to be because we no longer eat out anymore. Mom makes all of our meals at home. If we want something, Mom will figure out how to make it here at home and make it healthy for us.
Right. And I think that just naturally raises our vibration to the ability to experience metaphysical things or to experience like spiritual enlightenment per se, because when your brain is bogged down in running at low efficiency because it's trying to process weird things in your liver and decide where to send it into your body and the garbage that you're just consuming nonstop. How can your brain be aware of the metaphysical world when it doesn't even know how to digest the things you're putting inside?
Right, absolutely. Oh, something else I wanted to make sure that we touched on too. Something with, obviously we're doing a podcast, so we are looking for guests also.
Yeah, if you want to be a guest, whether that's you live in Utah and we can meet up in the same location, and or you would want to do it over a Zoom type setting, go ahead and drop it in the comments. You can also email me at trip_drip@icloud.com.
Because, and we want all sorts of people. If you have something you want to talk about, come talk about it. If you resonate with things that we're talking about, please come talk with us. Like,
hit the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button as well, absolutely. But we just want to talk with people. Right. We just want to hear others' perspectives and opinions and just talk.
Right, because I feel like that people don't do that a lot anymore. I'm sure a lot of people watching this have heard that TikTok and stuff like that has ruined the human's attention span. Right. You go to it.
I've had to make conscious efforts to push through longer videos. Like, it's not as hard anymore.
Right.
But when I was in the depths of TikTok where I was having large amounts of screen time, which I have made conscious efforts to cut down on a lot.
Right.
But during those times, it was a lot.
Right. And most of the time when there's a longer form video, it was hard to like maintain,
Yeah.
unless it's on our TV watching YouTube, like podcast forum like that, I could watch long term, but
Even for a while, even like the 10-minute TikToks, it was like, this is too long to keep my attention. I mean, now I have no problem with it if it's something that interests me. But it's just so crazy to think that we're all used to these less than 3-minute forum videos now, that it's hard oftentimes to keep an attention span for. I mean, I don't know how many people really fully watch 2 or 3 hour podcasts.
right.
I mean, because I don't even fully watch them. I'll fall asleep sometimes when I
Right.
watch them. I turn them on at night or whatever.
Right.
But it's because that's the long forum. But I feel like this is where you hear the most interesting things, and you learn things that you didn't know, and you're able to broaden your consciousness listening to other people talk.
I agree. I think that because sure, this podcast may be just us talking about us, but in the future, when it's just us, we're gonna talk about every topic under the sun in depth with our receipts and sources where we're getting this information, to talk about anything from whether the moon landing was fake, talk about how our body actually metabolizes protein, and what vitamins or nutrients is that most humans are deficient in. We're going to bring receipts. Or whether we're talking about anything political, we're going to bring receipts. If we're going to talk about a subject that's outside of ourselves, we're going to either provide receipts and documentation in the description of, where they can click and do their own research for themselves. Because by any means, I don't want you to take anything I say for face value. That's the problem with humanity, is that they just take things for at face value, and then it alters their beliefs when they actually don't even know if that's real or not. So I don't want you to take anything I say as face value. If you think that I say something and it vibrates with you and you can feel what I'm saying, chances are I would say that it's true. Or, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you should still then do your own research.
Absolutely. I feel like especially like if there's a topic that I'm into, whether it be a new hobby that I'm trying to learn, or something going on politically in the world, or whatever it is, I do so much research. I do overly research, where I feel like I know so much about this topic because I want to be fully informed, and feel like if I'm going to talk about something, I want to be knowledgeable about it.
Absolutely. Because I would hate for this channel, for when it gets to have thousands and thousands of subscribers, for us to say something false and then just a heyday of just look dumb,
Because that's the thing. Like, I don't want to look dumb, because I feel like that's a lot of my life why I didn't often want to speak up or talk about things, is because I didn't want to be perceived as dumb, or what I was saying, or how I was saying it, or anything like that, because I feel like that was something I struggled with a lot, was being like, oh, what if I'm judged based upon the way that I talk about something? So I had to practice and get better talking about how I'm going to articulate something that I'm going to talk about, or making sure that I have all of the information before I talk about it,
Right. As well as I think that something that I've heard a few times over the last few months, because I feel like I was put on this planet to be a teacher, is that the teacher's greatest skill is the ability to still be a student. I'm always willing to learn, and I'm even willing to learn the ways I've been wrong, to learn them the correct way. If I've ever said anything or done anything wrong, I'm always wanting to learn how to do it correctly, or what the correct knowledge may be, But we got a lot of exciting things happening in the next few months.
We do. This podcast was long awaited. We've been accumulating equipment and gear, and setting up how we want to do this, and making sure that we understand how to edit the videos and do all the things, like, again, just being knowledgeable in what we're trying to do. That we're honestly, I've been so excited to do this, and like actually do it and upload it and be able to share it with anyone that wants to watch it.
Right. And I think not only on top of all of the equipment that we got, for me personally, I needed to accumulate the self-courage and confidence to do so, because something like this, I'm going to put my all into it, and everything that I have, and the fear of criticism or the fear of failing is very prominent inside of my being, that I just don't want to fail. I just want to do a good job, and I want it to become successful, and I want it to reach tons of people that I can help just through my words and through my message, and the things we talk about, and the guests that we have on, and the topics we talk about. I just want to spread knowledge and encourage people to just chase their dreams and not give up on themselves. and maybe I'm self-critical in the way that I think that I could do that it's not going to work, or people are going to think I'm stupid, you know? So I've had the drive and the idea for a year and a half now, and finally now, a year and a half later, after the first time I said I want to do a podcast, I'm finally got all of the equipment and went through enough mental warfare within myself to pull the trigger and just do it. Right. You know.
And I also feel like too, these were I feel like two key moments in making this reality was these two key YouTube videos that we watched. Do you remember what two I'm talking about?
The Limitless one?
Yes. And do you remember the second one?
I don't know.
It was all of the YouTubers.
Oh yeah, all the YouTubers talking about any advice that they would have, like Mr. Beast, all the big YouTubers, and they just basically said record it and post it.
Right. I feel like those are two actually really good videos for people that are feeling, I mean, one of them sure is more social media related, but the other one is just about anything, your ultimate goal in general.
How to become limitless.
Right. So we'll definitely have to link those in the description, because I feel like they had a really great message.
Right.
So I think that's all we've got today.
Yeah, I think so. I appreciate all of y'all for watching. Like I had said earlier, if you vibrated or resonated with anything that we said, or just want to even hear more, please hit the subscription. You can hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when new content drops.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments too. What are some things you want us to talk about? What are your opinions on some of the things that we talked about? Please interact in the comments and let us know.
Right, as well as we're going to start moving forward. Obviously, this is the first one we've recorded and posted, but if there's any, we're going to do a segment every few podcasts where we answer questions from the people watching. So if you have any questions for either of us, whether it's about us personally, or whether it's about our thoughts or beliefs about something, or whatever it may be, drop them in the comments, and over the next few podcasts we'll collect some of them, and maybe some of y'all's comments or questions will get brought up.
Yeah, so we're super excited. We've got lots of really great big things planned for 2024.
Absolutely. The idea is to put a podcast out a week. Now we're learning along the way. We've never done any of this before, so we recorded this, and everything you see is all us just doing it just off of instinct and things that we've learned.
Editing comes next, right?
Editing comes next,
video.
so we don't know what the editing entitles and how tedious it might be. Ideally, we're trying to do everything in one take, so there's as little editing and really needed as possible.
We want it to be as free flow and authentic as possible. The more cuts you have, the less authentic it looks, I feel like, in long form podcasts. So that's something that we're trying to work on, is really just having that long form.
Right. So yeah, I have some guests that I'm excited to bring on in the next few times. Some friends, some family. But I think this was a good first podcast. I love you.
I love you.